let's start with Drake Maye. Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, kind of 1A, 1B as far as what the discussions have been. I think Mark and I assume that, let's say the Bears stay put, he would probably be the first guy off the board. We might be wrong in that assumption. We'll see in that, but we'll start with his film here. Mark put together threads of every single quarterback we're going to talk about today. So if you like the film, some of the conversation that's being had here, make your way over to our Twitter. Mark is probably going to put out, some TikToks and things like that as well. So just make sure to keep an eye out for that. But Mark, I'm just going to go play by play here.
Sure.
I'm not a great quarterback evaluator. I'm an offensive lineman, as we know here, so probably shouldn't have a whole lot of strong opinions on what they're doing on the field. Mark, on the other hand, a little bit better with that stuff. So I'm just going to go play by play here. And, what are you seeing that gives you certain opinions here? What things should we be looking out for? Quarterback comps to current NFL guys, any of that, I think is resourceful conversation to be having.
Yeah, so if we can slow down each clip, John, to just a little bit, and I'll kind of talk through it, and you can just kind of let it play at a slower rate. Drake Maye stands out to me because he's huge. Okay, this guy's 6'4", 6'5", but he's athletic. He's interesting because he's the youngest brother in his family. I think he's got 3 or 4 older brothers, so he was beat up his entire life. He was always trying to chase what his brothers were, which gave him a competitive edge, right? I know that being the oldest brother, both my younger brothers, I think, benefited because I grew and got bigger faster than them, and, I was hard on them. And then I think they were more athletic and tougher because of that. John, you're the oldest as well. You could probably look at your brothers and see the same thing. So weird things like that you got to look in when you do these draft analysis. But this first play, this is a Justin Herbert, Josh Allen kind of play. He's got the protection. He's scanning the right side of the field. It's not there. He rolls left, settles right in a pocket, and then throws across his body. Now, this ball is not caught for a touchdown, so this does not show up on the stat sheet. And this is what I mean by the things that you can't just look at stats. This ball in the NFL is caught, I'd say, 8 out of 10 times. Okay? Receiver here doesn't make the play, but if you look at his movement, his tracking, settling his feet, turning his hips, and then throwing this thing. I mean, look at the arm mechanic, right? Like, that is a big arm, accurate throw across his body. Not an easy throw by any means, and that thing should have been caught for a touchdown. That's a special NFL Sunday play that we've seen very few NFL quarterbacks do consistently, but you're going to see Drake Maye do it relatively consistently as we look at the rest of these clips.
Take a look at this next clip.
So this next clip is we've only seen a couple other guys ever do this. This is Patrick Mahomes did this on Monday Night Football against the Broncos, and the whole world went crazy, right? This was kind of in the beginning of the Mahomes era when that was starting to develop. Like, what are we watching? This guy's not from planet Earth. Drake Maye here. This is just a simple zone read. Okay, he's got the option to run the ball. He actually misreads it. Like, the defensive end plays it well. Probably should have just handed the ball off here. You can see the guy he's reading does not commit to the dive, so he should have just gave the dive. But wrong read, but he makes the play after. So right here he notices when he's running, okay, this was a mistake. Stiff arming, and he's using his right arm to stiff arm. And this is stuff that you can't coach or teach. He throws a touchdown with his left hand. Now, keep in mind, Drake Maye is right-handed. Okay?
That's impressive.
That is stuff that, like, this stuff shows up in, I don't even know, like, you never coach a guy to do this. This is just playmaking, instinct, stuff that you cannot teach or coach, and that's the stuff NFL prospects, rarely have. And when you do have it, coaches drool over it because they see this and they're like, okay, I can coach him to read zone read better, but I can't coach him to do that when he misreads a play. That is a short list of guys have ever shown anything like this on film.
Well, and I think what's also promising too, just from like a maturity element, is that like this is not his first instinct, and we can probably get into a conversation of Maye versus Williams versus Daniels, like how quickly they are to really start using their feet to try to make a play. I think Maye's probably the lowest out of those 3 guys that I just mentioned there. And yet when he does, he still can do crazy stuff like this. And I think there's a lot of value to that because you do see on, some of these project quarterbacks, right? I think the biggest cause for concern on a lot of these quarterbacks is that like how quickly they're going to try to do that. And that makes all of the other things tougher to teach, right? Because if their first instinct is to go and try to use their legs and try to be the entire offense, that creates a lot of problems in the NFL. You see that with project quarterbacks, quote unquote project quarterbacks, all the time at the NFL level. So,
Yeah.
But we'll move on to this next play here.
So again, this is the first deep ball you're going to see of him, right? First thing you notice is his ability to slide in the pocket without leaving the pocket completely. So you notice his feet, right, and his hips turning to where he needs to go with the ball. But instead of running away from pressure, you can slide away from pressure, buy yourself just a hair more time, and then get the ball out. So obviously, what he does in the pocket there is impressive. But look at where this ball gets delivered. Okay, there's a free blitzer. He knows that. He sees that he's got to get the ball out. He gets one-on-one coverage on the back end because of this blitz. He recognizes that, slides, buys himself time, and throws this thing up in the air right over the outside shoulder, which is exactly where you want to go. Defender can't get there. It's my guys or nobody's. And this is a great catch, but this is a great throw as well. This is something you have to have as an NFL quarterback in today's game. You got to make teams pay when they bring pressure, and because you're going to leave guys on the back end vulnerable. And if you can complete passes like this at a high rate, which Drake Maye did in college for 2 seasons, this is what you're looking for. Okay, this is the Josh Allen, this is the Justin Herbert comparisons. When I talk about those two guys, okay, I'm not saying Drake Maye is those two guys, but I'm saying he does a lot of things like those two guys. And obviously, it's projection, and Josh Allen and those guys have done it in the NFL, but Drake Maye has the potential to do that, in my opinion. This is a rolling left, okay, for a right-handed quarterback. Throwing back inside across the middle of the field is a no-no. Coaches teach you not to do this. This is how turnovers happen. You are coached not to do this. There's very few guys that do this consistently and get away with it. You have to have a rocket arm to do this, and you have to have awesome anticipation and field vision. This is, without a doubt, one of his best throws he had in his college career. Running all the way left, turns and just flicks the wrist, and on this inside dig route deep down the field, places it perfectly in a dangerous area. Receiver does a good job coming back to the ball. This is just another thing that you can't teach this. These are the things that you see on film that wow coaches.
And then last one here. Sheesh. I'll slow this one down for you too, Mark.
Yeah, so we've shown some, where he has to slide in the pocket, some down the field throws. This is a red zone throw. Okay, he's got a post route. It's bracket coverage. Okay, so bracket coverage, John, if you want to pause it like right as the receiver breaks, keep going. Right about here, you pause it. So bracket coverage, he's got a defender that's playing him low underneath, right? Mm-hmm. He's got a safety over the top. So there's 2 guys, they call it bracket coverage. It's a very hard window to throw that ball in. Most quarterbacks would go to their next read. He anticipates that this guy's going to win across the low man's coverage, and he can get the ball in before the safety gets there, and that's exactly what he does. So he anticipates it. He throws an absolute laser here in the red zone, which pinpoint accuracy down the red zone is very important, and having the ability to make throws like this against tight coverage, because everything gets tighter and tighter and harder to score the closer you get to the end zone, in the running game and in the passing game. So you have to be even more pinpoint the closer you get to the end zone, and I wanted to put this play in there to show he's capable of doing not just the big down the field throws, not just the rolling out left and making impressive throws right. He can make this consistent, like every down snaps that you have to have. Right. And I think that's because a lot of quarterbacks can do the hard stuff and sometimes struggle with the easier stuff, or vice versa. Drake Maye, to me, does both, and that's why I have him as my best quarterback prospect in this year's draft as of now.
Yeah, and so I guess we can maybe talk about that a little bit more. Like, obviously the whole debate right now is Maye versus Williams, and we're about to talk about Williams' film. I think we're both in agreement that Williams is a better, what we call like off-script quarterback. Like, he's just better at, the best at making those kind of plays and making those kind of decisions. Maye, you'd say, is maybe more like, okay, like, better at just being in a system, better at executing that system, obviously has all the physical attributes needed. Is there anything else that, as we're about to get into Williams' film here, that you feel like we should keep an eye out as far as the comps between these two quarterbacks?
Biggest thing to me, I guess, would be size. Size and stature. Drake Maye, I think, is much bigger, and I do think has a bigger arm. I will say Caleb Williams makes just as many impressive down-the-field throws. And like you said,
They both are very, very good off script. I think Drake May is a little bit better on script than Caleb Williams, which is why I slightly put him ahead of Caleb Williams.